Welcome back to KION News at 11. Going back over to the Weather Center with Chief Meteorologist Dan Cianca. I got to say, great day to be out at the pitch. A little colder before I got there, but once I was there, it was warm.
Well, we've got some more nice days ahead. If you like warm January dry days, we've got some of those in the forecast. We've had a few of them already, but more in the forecast. But the nights are cold, and that's also going to be a big part of the forecast this week. Here's a live look from Domenico's on the Wharf. We are in another period of offshore winds here on the Central Coast, and we will stay that way here for the next several days. Winds won't be all that strong. Just pretty much a light offshore breeze for the most part day to day, but that is going to keep dry air in place all the way to the beaches. Skies will be very clear. And unfortunately, it brings other problems. We have Santa Ana winds going on across Southern California. Red flag warnings in effect. We mentioned this in the early part of our newscast tonight for many areas with the dry, gusty winds and potential for some very strong wind gusts in this area and portions of Los Angeles and Ventura counties. Basically, the mountains north of Los Angeles into the San Fernando Valley, and then those Ventura County valleys like Simi Valley, and then along the Santa Paula Maria River. I forget what river that is. Anyway, the one that comes out near Ventura and Oxnard. Either way, looking pretty gusty out there and very, very dry. So fires that start could spread rapidly. We're keeping an eye on that. I mentioned the fires and a couple of them that that burst out in Southern California earlier today. We'll be watching those anyway over the next couple of days. Here's the overall weather pattern. As I collect my words here, high pressure is sitting in control across the west coast, and then actually right to the south of it is a cutoff area of low pressure. Both of these two circulations in the atmosphere kind of working in concert to keep at least the air right on the coast more easterly. We can see the gears almost pulling from the east to the west across the region, and that's going to keep that air offshore here for the next couple of days. And ultimately, the ridge is going to remain in place, continuing to block weather systems off to the west and north for the better part of the next couple of weeks. Now, occasionally we get these inside slider systems. We're going to have another one sliding down this weekend. This one's going to tap into some cold air, and some model runs are making it look somewhat unstable to the point where maybe we'll get some showers out of it. Quite a few models actually showing a few light showers across the region, especially to our east and south. But many of them showing some showers over our area, just not a lot of precipitation. And we wouldn't expect much from a dry system like this, but it might be enough to get a few showers going, and maybe even a little snow in the mountains, believe it or not. It will be cold enough for that. So we're going to go from warm and dry to cool, actually kind of cold, and maybe a few showers. Southern California will probably also get some rain with this system as well, which is some good news for them. Just not a lot, not really a drought breaker or anything that's going to help them all that much, but it could mitigate things for the time being. But beyond that, the overall weather pattern isn't really changing. So we're going to continue to see high pressure basically ruling the west coast of the United States. Occasionally we get these cutoff lows, but they're not as consequential as far as the weather pattern is concerned as the ridge, which is going to continue to block rain and keep it away from here, unfortunately, for the next couple of weeks. Our future track overnight is going to show those offshore winds. We'll see clear skies, and then tomorrow during the day, a few thin high clouds may pass by. So as you take a hike at Point Lobos tomorrow around 9 a.m., mostly clear. 57 degrees or so, light northerly breeze. Actually, it'll warm up maybe into the 60s by the time you get to lunchtime tomorrow there. So it might be a little warm for you near coasters, right? You like those cool, foggy conditions, but it won't be that way tomorrow. Future track for the rest of the day showing mostly clear skies, a few thin high clouds passing through, and the offshore winds do kind of take on a little more northwesterly turn tomorrow afternoon briefly. So you might get a bit of a sea breeze on the south side of the bay, but otherwise another mostly sunny and warmer day. Take a look at some of these temperatures. So I did adjust our temperatures here for the late show tonight. So Santa Cruz Mountain Valleys certainly could be frosty overnight as we get into the low 30s. Highs back in the mid 60s though. Santa Cruz mid 60s tomorrow, same in Capitola. Lows dropping into the 30s overnight. It's going to be a cold start to the day across the Santa Cruz County, really across the region. 32 overnight in Watsonville, 36 Salinas, mid 30s Prunedale. 32 San Juan Bautista, low 30s in the Santa Clara Valley. Hollister under a frost advisory, but highs back to 67 tomorrow. Salinas coming in at 69 tomorrow afternoon. On over to the peninsula, even in the 30s in Monterey and Seaside. Probably won't get there in PG and Pebble Beach, but Carmel, Seaside, both in the mid-30s overnight. Could see some patchy frost, won't be widespread. And down south, we do have a freeze warning for parts of southern Monterey County as we get into the low to mid-20s. King City northward should be in the low 30s with some patchy frost possible. Highs close to 70 in many instances tomorrow afternoon. So for the next 7 days, temperatures on the afternoon side of things will be nice and warm, but during the nights will be cold. Highs will peak on Thursday before we start to cool down, and then we do have a chance of some showers on Saturday. We're going to watch that closely for you. I don't think impacts will be very high unless you have to use your windshield wipers once or twice, so that's going to be about it. But we haven't had any rain for quite some time, and we might get a little, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a lot, Max.
All right, well, thank you very much, Dan.